Shout out Kevin Oliver. Rest in peace, Andon. Rappers promote drugs and violence, then it spread like cancer. Kids think it's cool, then try it. Now there's funerals and planners. Bullshit I don't buy, I identify. Scammer thinking maybe if we ride, they'll stop shooting at the manor. And I've been on some, yeah, I be on that classy tip. Mumble rapping, whack actors been up on that trashy tip. I just add it up and you flip out, that's acrobatics. This is just speaking my mind, and I ain't no social activist. I'm asking this. Stay for a while now. Put the guns down, you can find another way. You can heal from your pain. Stay for a while now. Put the drugs down, you can find another way. You can heal from your pain. So I'm asking this. Stay for a while now. Put the guns down, you can find another way. You can heal from your pain. Stay for a while now. Put the drugs down, you can find another way. You can heal from your pain.
Okay. The famous Christy Martin coming on to our show to talk a little bit about awareness and the things that she's been through. We'll talk a little bit about the boxing end of it, the famous things that she's done. It's been amazing. Christy, if you can tell us a little bit about you in the beginning stages, just to the whole story, maybe a little bit of the story about how you got the nickname the coal miner's daughter, and you in your boxing career. Tell us a little bit about it.
My boxing career happened by chance. From West Virginia, Southern West Virginia, and back in the 80s, Tough Man was a really big deal. If you guys might remember Butterbean.
Absolutely.
So he's a product of the Tough Man. Matter of fact, I think Mr. T is a product of Tough Man. So anyway, Tough Man traveled around from city to city, and all the guys would join the tough guys, and then I kept thinking and telling the promoter, like, let's have some women, let's do the women. I had never seen women's boxing, never thought, I don't even know why I thought this could happen or would happen or should happen, but it did. Finally, they added a women's division to Beckley, West Virginia, Tough Man, and I was probably the first one to sign up. Why I thought this was a good idea, I don't know. I was in college and playing basketball, so but took a weekend and went over and tried the Tough Man, and just got hooked on boxing. I mean, I was fortunate enough to win, actually knocked some people out, so that was like
Nice.
way crazy cool, and just loved it. Just loved it. Loved the adrenaline. Loved the fans. Loved the people thought women couldn't do it, and here we are out here doing it. So it was just, I don't know. I'm one of those type of people that if you tell me I can't do something or I shouldn't do something,
Sure.
that's just going to make me have more and more desire to get it accomplished.
Wow. So just a quick couple questions. Wow, on winning your first, you went into a group of people and won your first little fights and stuff. Is that before you started actually training for boxing?
Absolutely. I mean, I had
That's
never
just the
even been to a
beginning.
boxing gym. Yeah, even through my first like 7 pro fights, I had never been to a boxing gym. I just I hung a heavy bag in my college apartment
No.
and
Wow.
watched fights on TV and tried to like practice what I saw them doing on the heavy bag. I don't know. I
Wow.
mean, that's just crazy.
So
And
you,
thank goodness I didn't run into somebody that had, well, and I did actually. Andrea DeShong out of Ohio, she did have a trainer, and she did have, she knew how to throw a jab. She had some skills. She had some ring savvy. She had been a kickboxer as well. Um, so she beat me the first time we fought, and then we rematched, and I beat her. Actually, we ended up fighting 3 times, so I beat her 2 times.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, thank goodness, I didn't run into somebody that had really been training and knew what they were doing.
So who was your first trainer? Who's the one that started all of this?
I never had a trainer until Jim Martin.
Wow. And how long into your career was that?
I had probably, oh my goodness, maybe those 9 or 10 fights, probably.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So the coal miner's daughter, what does that mean to you to have that name? The coal
Well,
miner's.
yeah, it's a lot. The coal miner's daughter, being from West Virginia, my father is a coal miner, so that makes me
Mhm.
very proud
Absolutely.
to have the coal miner's daughter nickname. But where we're from, uh, Loretta Lynn is a big, she was a big deal, and everybody knew about Loretta Lynn, the coal miner's daughter, the movie. So when they were trying to give me a nickname after signing with Don King, Jimmy Lennon Jr. came up with the coal miner's daughter, and it just stuck. And
It's
the coolest thing of all, I actually met Loretta Lynn later, and kind of got her blessing for using the coal miner's daughter. It was
wow.
it was really awesome, and I got to sit with her, and just she was just like normal, and like she's a massive superstar, and she was just so down to earth, and like talked to me about my dad and being the coal miner's daughter, and it was really awesome. It was something that I'll definitely never forget in my life.
That's incredible. That's awesome. So I guess the thing that we're coming on here to talk a little bit about is what you experienced and went through um, on domestic violence. And I know for a fact that it hurts every time you bring this up. You know what I mean? Because it brings back all of the bad memories and some of the stuff that you went through on that. But we'll be bouncing back and forth between talking about some of the other things when Hector comes on and stuff like that. But the awareness thing to me is very powerful because, of course, I lost my mother to gun violence. My stepfather shot her when I was in first grade. So, and then I lost my youngest son to gun violence as well. But with you being shot and stabbed, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story on the awareness part and how we can stop and talk about domestic abuse?
I think domestic violence is one of those things. It's like taboo almost. Like people,
Hmm.
it's happening, but you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's probably times that you feel uncomfortable, like you're out with friends or something, and like he can be saying things to her that make you feel a little uncomfortable, or maybe she's saying things to him, and you think, wow, what's really going on? But you're afraid to ask, or you don't know how to ask, or how to
Mm.
say, is everything okay? And then when you're in that situation, you also don't know who to trust, especially when, most couples, you share friends. So if I say something to a friend that, oh, he's doing this or he's doing that, then what if they confront him about it? And that's only going to make things worse for me. And so it's a tough one. It's tough, and I always tell people that domestic violence isn't always about bruises. There's so many forms of domestic violence: isolation, um, financial,
Sure, sure.
control, just emotional, mental. There's just so many different ways, and that's in my situation. It really, as crazy as it sounds, it wasn't physical many times until it really was physical. But the threat, I was threatened for 20 years that if you leave me, I'll kill you.
Wow.
And I always say, like, at first, I was 23 years old, I think 22, 23 years old, and you kind of laugh it off and think that's just what somebody says. And then but as time went on, and I always say, you know, I can't really remember the exact moment. I don't know that there was like a moment that it clicked and I knew this is the way it was going to end. But I eventually started to realize that no, this is how it's going to end. He means it when he says that you'll kill me if I leave. So that's I knew that when I did decide to leave, I knew he was going to kill me, and I had you know, kind of come to the point where I was okay if I was going to live or die. I was okay with whatever happened, but I wasn't going to run and I wasn't going to hide, um, you know, for the rest of my life. So I just had to go back and face him that one last time. Of course, this is not the the way that I would explain to other people to handle their situation, but this is how I felt like I had to handle mine.
Right.
I think to pick up where you left off, Christy, the mental side of it, the mind games, the psychological, you know, abuse. That's a big part. How did you break out of that situation that we're in? What kind of self-talk did you practice to get to that place where you had the courage to say, well, you know, it has to end?
You know, my situation is very complicated because I had the you know, a lot of drug abuse was going on at the time. A lot of you know, he was holding sexuality over my head. Um, I just it was kind of simple. It was I walked through my house one night, probably in the middle of the night, and I saw myself in the mirror, and I was like, "Oh my God, you look like a drug addict." And then I stopped, and I'm talking to myself. I know you are a drug addict, and this isn't who you are. So it's kind of like that moment, seeing myself, it all changed. And I know this isn't who I am. It's not who I want to be. I'm gonna get clean and I'm gonna get out. And my boxing career was over, really. So there was nothing left to protect anymore.
Right.
I had gone through so much to protect my boxing career, my family. I needed to get better. I needed to get clean. I needed to take care of me. And that was that moment. There was that moment where no, I'm gonna put me first. And that's what I finally did. I told him I was leaving. As I left that day, he said, "If you leave me, I'll kill you." And I stopped and looked dead in his eyes and said, "Do what you have to do, Jim." And I knew 100% that he was going to kill me. And
Wow.
what are you going to do? I mean, you know, are you going to run and hide and be this person your life? I mean, I was going to die. I would have overdosed. I was on my way to killing myself, either intentionally or unintentionally. I had held a gun to my head a bunch of times, you know, just end it. And you know, for whatever reason, lots of times I would think about my mom and dad, and I didn't think it was fair to them. Maybe that was just me. That was my excuse not to kill myself. But at least I guess I found one. I found a reason to keep living and keep fighting.
Well, I can feel you on all of what you've been through, man. Oh my gosh. Just real quick, you know, when I lost my mom, I hated bullies. I hated everything that had to do with it. I remember walking out, opening my bedroom door with my stepdad on top of my mom beating her. I remember grabbing this purple wiffle ball bat and just coming across the back of him and just hit me so hard. And he come up, picked me up off the ground, threw me in the bedroom with the rest of my brothers and sister, and threw me all the way across the wall, bounced off the wall. But you know what? My brothers and sisters come over, gave me hugs, and said, "Did you hit him? Did you hit him?" I said, "Yeah, I hit him." I remember all the screaming and all the stuff on the domestic end of it that I'm sure you went through. That's just crazy. So I feel a lot of the things. I remember sitting in the closet with a knife right here, just telling myself 6 inches. That's it, 6 inches. I was with my father, but I didn't want to be with my father. I want to be with my mom. She's gone, and I just didn't want to be there anymore. So I know what you went through on that as well. I mean, it's just like, why am I here? I don't want to be here. So many things that you're touching on that's just I went through. So I know the pain that you had to suffer, the stuff that you was going through. Your life was just, man, it's heart wrenching, and I'm sorry that you went through that. So proud of you taking a stand. That is awesome.
The crazy thing for people out there that are in a bad situation, an unhappy situation, a domestic violence situation, you only get to live this life once, and it goes fast. And there's like, I just remember like really cool things. I did a lot of really awesome things through my boxing career, and I can remember walking through the casinos and things, thinking, wow, how cool this would be to be doing this with somebody that I loved or that I felt like truly loved me. I mean, Jim Martin made it no secret. I was his ATM. I was his ATM. I was his cash cow. I was the one that, brought the money in. I brought it in the front door, and he took it out the back door. He was stealing money that I had no idea he was stealing. He was slick, but that's the way con artists are. They're narcissists. They can make you look over here when they're doing the damage over here, and it's just. And then look, I have a joint bank account with this man. I'm sleeping in the same bed with them. You don't expect that's the person that's stealing from you. You don't really expect that that's the person that's going to try to kill you. But like I said, I knew after a while he was going to kill me if I left. And part of it, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that fight. And I didn't want him to destroy my boxing career because I had worked so hard to get the boxing career, and he convinced me, and maybe he was right in the 90s, that if the boxing world would have known that I was gay or whatever, it was a package deal. Don King sold it would have been a different situation. But now I don't feel like I'm sure there's a lot of talk behind my back, but I do business with basically every major player in boxing. And again, what they say about me when they hang up the phone or I leave the room, I don't know, but they don't make me feel uncomfortable while I'm in the room or while I'm in the conversation. And I'm having the conversations. Jim had convinced me that no one would talk to me. He convinced me no one would train me but him. I could have really been a better fighter. I'm sure I would have been a better person. This man had me through. I was with him for 20 years, and it was the 20 years that, like, from the time I was 22 to like 42, and those are your good years, right?
Good years, yeah.
Those are your years, and that where you're like forming who you are. So after getting out of the hospital, after being shot and stabbed, I remember going to Walmart and like just walking down the aisles and not really knowing what I wanted to eat. Go to the mall and not really know what clothes I wanted to buy because I had been told what to do for so long. And then after a while, it just becomes easier to go along with that than to fight it. We always say, pick and choose your battles, right? Well, that's what I did. And some of that stuff wasn't worth battling over. You get beat down, and you get beat down so much that before you know it, not much is worth battling for.
So one thing I can say is James got karma served to him, I guess would be the easiest way to say it. He went to prison over what he'd done to you, and he never came out of prison. How did that make you feel when that happened?
So he was, given 25 years day for day because it
Nice.
happened in Florida.
Nice.
So if he would have lived, he would have been 92 or 93, I think, when he got out. So he just died in November. And it was kind of like, well, he died out of his sentence. I would like to have seen him have to live through it just a little bit longer.
Absolutely, yes.
Because, in prison, he was told what to wear, what to do, when to do it. And that's exactly what he just couldn't stand anybody telling him what he had to do or when he had to, or, the fact that he was wearing an orange jumpsuit every day instead of Versace. I can't imagine how that went over with him. But
he was wearing the Versace because of you.
Yeah, and yes, and it's kind of crazy that he was spending money on himself, and then I had nice things, but I had nice things off the sale rack usually, and he's going to the Versace store.
Well, I started Andon's Blessings when I lost Andon in 2021, and that group does nothing but help people. It's just the most amazing thing to me. We had 2 million views last month on my page, and several 100,000 every month on Andon's Blessings. And it's just amazing for us to be able to help so many women on there and that's why I done it. It's because I'm losing my mom to first grade. I was like, you know what? I lost my son. What can I do? I ended up starting Andon's Blessings or stoppinggunviolence.com. And it was probably what saved my life. It's just for people helping so many women on there that was just getting started coming out of domestic abuses because they had to leave or they was going to kill them. And you wouldn't believe how many, I get 150 messages a day of, hey, I need this. What can I do? I said, just go to the group, ask for it, tag me, and I'll help you, get it, and just all of that coming back around for me is what kept me here today, because I absolutely wasn't going to when I lost Andy. And then I lost Kevin directly after that in 21. And then I was really ready to go. Then I ended up meeting Juanita, and she's the anchor in my life. And she's done so much for me. I can't even begin to explain it. But, all we do now is fight for awareness, having people on the shows and stuff. Like you're an icon. Everybody knows you, and it's just amazing that you would take the time to come here and speak to us about some of the things you've been through.
I have a question if you want to add it in there.
Please.
Christy, I was in two marriages like that, domestic abuse marriages. One was 4 years, and we were married for 4 years, and we were together for 6. We had a daughter. And the second one, I was married to Joshua's dad for 15 years. And I stayed in that marriage because we were both pastors. And I didn't want to, let my flock down. And I didn't want to lose everything that I'd built up. So I kind of put on a mask outside of the house doors, but when I went home, I knew what was waiting. And I walked into the second one blindly after having gone through the first one already. If there's women out there watching this today, what are red flags they can look for? Because I missed all of them the second time around. I made that same mistake twice. What are the red flags that you can tell them to look out for?
I think that this is a crazy statement I'm about to make. You know what? You get comfortable with that situation.
Yeah.
So you leave this one, but this is what you're comfortable with. So you find yourself right back in another one. Same situation, different person, same situation. Because that's what you're used to. That's what you think of yourself. You think, I deserve this, or this is the way that I'm always going to be treated. But that's not the truth. And it's it's all about breaking the cycle. We have to break it as survivors, as much as the ones that are doing the violence against us. We need to break that cycle. But we, as women or men that are being abused, we have to change how we see things, because I fell right back into a kind of a crazy situation too, for a minute. But I think that you go back to what you know. I mean, that's just what we as human beings do. We go back to what we know, what we're comfortable, and not maybe expecting that it's going to be to the violence part, but that's what it's going to be, because that's where we're going right back to the same thing that we just had. So you need training. You need, look, me out of the hospital after being shot and stabbed, all these years of violence, and never even told me you should go see a counselor. They didn't send me out with like one anxiety medication. They didn't.
Wow.
They had nothing. But I mean, they didn't even suggest to me to go see a counselor. And when after something like that happens, you have so many thoughts, and the first thing was, it was my fault. Like, how, you kind of want to blame yourself that I let this happen, which, even today, I'm like, damn, I was smarter than that. I was smarter than that. Why did I let myself stay in a situation where it wasn't good? But you could, then I say, well, I did it because of this and I did it because of that. But all those things were wrong. I mean, that might have been why I did it, but they weren't right. That was it. I shouldn't have stayed because I didn't want him to tell people that I had relationships with women in the past. I didn't want him to talk to my parents about drug abuse. I didn't want him to, I should have I wouldn't have been abusing drugs if I wasn't so unhappy in the relationship I was in.
That's right.
Because the minute it's crazy, people are like, how did you talk about cocaine, you're doing coke all the time, and how did you just quit cold turkey? I'm like, it was easy because I was out of the situation that made me so unhappy. Now, everybody doesn't abuse drugs for the same reason, but that was my reason. I wanted to just be away from him. I wanted to be, out there in the world, out there in La La Land, where it seemed like everything was much better.
Yeah. I lost my second son, Kevin Joe Oliver, to fentanyl, which is the biggest killer in the world right now, from ages 18 to 49. Everybody knows about it now. You're not hiding it under the carpets anymore. When you lose somebody, everybody knows, everybody's out talking about it, which is what is helping people. When they start seeing the pain in the mother and the father's face, some of those kids have come to me and said, look, I don't want my mom or my father to go through what you're going through, because I have a whole group of younger kids that call me Papa Dukes, and they're always coming up saying, hey, this guy got clean, this guy put the gun down, he's in our group, and this group's growing, and it's about speaking to people and letting them know this reality is crazy, this time of everybody's lives. I mean, I've never seen a generation, you go back and look at these other generations back when you was fighting in the 80s, that's what we used.
Right.
You don't see no 10-year-old killing somebody with a gun. 10-year-old, right, real close to us, shot his mother and killed her, 10 years old, because she wouldn't give him a gaming system. They don't think like they used to because they're on these games all the time, shooting and killing people. And it was her fault. And I'm not saying her fault. It was her issues that she had, that she didn't put a gun up. She laid a loaded gun on a bed with a 10-year-old around. If you're going to pack and all that stuff, that's great. Protect yourself. Absolutely. But in the same sense, you can't have a loaded gun laying on the bed And the way these kids are these days, and it's happening a lot. There's so many 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds killing people, shooting people. My son lost his, life to fentanyl. The second biggest thing, that is just unbelievable to me when you stop to see all these deaths. The two biggest epidemics in the world, gun violence and fentanyl, are ages 1 to 49. And it's the biggest two killers in the world. And we're just now talking about it. Just now. This is an incredible moment that I've had with you to be able to talk to you a little bit about what you went through and you being sober and you getting sober and you making some changes in your life. When I was doing all I could with my son to get him clean. He started off with pain pills, ended up in fentanyl, and I worked my butt off to get him clean, and we had him clean. We had him clean for about 6 months, and he lost his brother to gun violence, and he slid right back into it. And then his somebody sent him over some stuff, and long story short, he slid off one too many times, and we lost him. So just letting everybody know how you was able to make it, how you pulled yourself out of drugs and just went like this and stopped is amazing to me. I can feel you on that because when I was back in 2000, my knee, I got a broken posterior ligament in my knee. It's still broken from fighting, kicking. So it broke my posterior ligament. That put me on 120 hydrocodones. Then when my father died, I had seizures. So they put me on Xanaxes. So I was doing 90 Xanaxes a month. Then I couldn't focus, so they put me on Adderall.
Wow.
They had me on 30 milligram Adderall, 90 a month. Wow. So I was taking all these at the same time back in 2000 for over 2 years. And and then I told my doctor, I was like, look, I feel no pain. It's incredible. Yeah. I don't have any more seizures. This is unbelievable. But on top of that, I have more energy I've ever had in my life to work because I'm a worker. I like to work. I use my hands. I work. I said, this is an unbelievable thing for me. I've never felt this before. And thank you. I was thanking him. I said, but I got one problem. I said, what's that? I said, I can't sleep. I said, these Adderalls, I can't sleep. So what did they do instead of taking me and lowering the doses of Adderall? They put me on sleeping pills. Oh. And all this is documented. I have all this. So I was taking Adderall, sleeping pills, Xanax, and pain pill. It's amazing. I did not die.
It's
amazing. And believe me, when the 120 hydrocodones were gone, I was looking. I'm out. So, when I know what you're talking about, how you quit, because it held in my hometown. And that's what I do now is I fix cars that are beat up from hell. And it held in my hometown. And I decided that was what I was going to do. I seen 3 people walk in making some crazy money. So I said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop rebuilding transmissions and I'm going to do this. So I went home to the girl I was dating. And I said, look, I'm done. What do you mean you're done? I said, I'm done with the drugs. I'm not doing them anymore. And I remember taking them and I was going to the bathroom because I just got a script. And I was dumping them in the toilet when she jumped on my back. Needless to say, she was doing the same thing I was doing. The doctor was giving her the same thing, basically, that he was giving me, the Xanax and the hydrocodones. And she just wanted to beat me up for doing that, But that was the last time that I did it. So just being able to quit, I feel you on that. You've had enough. When you're done, you're done. You shake your head. Goodbye with this. We're going to start a new life. And I told her, I said, if you get clean, we're going to do it together. We're going to start this journey together. She goes, I don't have a problem. You do. I said, all right, have a nice day. See ya. Walked away from that relationship just like that. So walking away from something that's hindering you, keeping you back, even if you think it's going to kill you, make a stand. Step up. Stop doing the drugs. Put the guns down. Walk away from the gangs. Do something that's important in your life. Make changes. If I could stop and do some of the things that I've done when I was younger and just make a couple changes on what I've done, my life wouldn't be so hectic as it is today. You're a motivational speaker.
Yeah, I am. You know what? I'm real. I'm your neighbor. I talk to you from my heart. I don't sit here and have notes that, I need to, sometimes there'll be things I want to make sure I get a little plug in, but yeah, I'm just real. I just talk to you who I am from the heart, and
Yeah.
hopefully people can feel that and know that it is real, and just
Yes.
get a little bit. Hey, if she can do it, there's nothing special about her. I can do it too, and that's way that 100%. You know, if I can do it, anybody can. It's just not. It's not easy. You have to really get to that point in life that no, I'm putting me first, and I'm gonna make these changes. And
Absolutely.
until you get to that point where you're going to put you first, you can't. You can't make the changes. You won't make the changes. You
Yeah.
can, you won't.
Yeah. Back when we first started this, um, the stopping gun violence and stopping fentanyl, Deborah Reinbold reached out to you and got us on track to talking to making some of this happen as far as our show. I wanted to thank Deborah for getting the starting of this and thanking you for all that you've done to explain to people and kind of hopefully let them kind of see that somebody famous like you, somebody that's been through everything, was able to stop like this on the drugs. It can happen. I mean, and that's the whole thing about talking about awareness, you know, is letting people know it can happen. There's a way. You just have to make sure that you want to be in line with it. Honey, do
Absolutely.
you have anything else?
I am very, very blessed and honored to be in this room with you, Christy. I see a lot of things that, we have in common, especially with the things that you've been through, the violence. And you said something very, very important. You said the violence is not always physical. There's a lot of verbal abuse that goes with it, a lot of mental games, psychological, really warfare, I call it. The mind games were the worst part for me because I think it was a trauma bonding thing. It's almost like you cannot stand to be in that situation, but you don't know how to live without that situation. Like you mentioned, it's a comfortable place, but it's dangerous. And that puts you in a place where I was constantly anxious. I was very unhappy. I had pain that I was dealing with. And because I wasn't dealing with it, to every sphere of it, I had anger. And I had times that I was a pastor and he was a pastor. I was the main pastor, the senior pastor, but I couldn't go anywhere for counseling because who do I turn to? Who do I speak to? I'm supposed to have the answers. So I went to the church and I said to the council, the big council, in our country, I said, we have a very big problem here. And they said, well, you have a choice. You can either stay in this relationship, and I mean, this was after 15 years. You can stay in this relationship and we'll try and help him. He didn't think he had a problem. Or you can leave and not be a pastor anymore. And I mean, it's 15 years of your life. It's almost 2 decades, studied up to master's level, worked very, very hard, 7 days a week. And, they just made that decision easy for me because I said in that moment, I'm not going to make it through this. I'm going to blow my brains out on the stairs at the church just to make a point because I have no backing. Nobody cares. My mom didn't know. I didn't tell anybody. I was embarrassed. And then one day I just sat and I spoke to God and I just said, I'm going to take this leap now because I've got my kids. And they can't live like this anymore. And I can't live like this anymore. So I called the church and I said, thank you for making this decision easy for me. I'm not going to be on that pulpit anymore and go home and be treated like this. You don't want to help me, so I choose then not to be a pastor. And that's why I took everything I did online. So I want to say thank you for speaking to the audience about that because there's so many women out there that are in the situation that we were in that's too scared to speak. And delirious, we're scared about what people are going to think about us, what they're going to say. Are we going to lose what we've built? And there's a song from the gospel band Delirious, and it talks about breaking the silence. And, if you're out there and you're in this situation, believe me, it's not worth hanging on to that comfortable place, like Christy said, or, doing this to yourself every day. Just break the silence. Roll with the punches. There is a new day. There's a new door. And we serve a mighty God. You know, you're going to make it through this. So thank you for importing that into the audience lives today, because it's spot on. And you're a fighter. You are the champ. I saw you coming into the Zoom room. I want to say you're not just a champ in boxing, you're a champion in life as well. You know, we're very, very proud of you. And thank you for all you do out there.
Thank you. And thank you for having me and giving me, a few minutes this morning to talk to you and to so many people out there to, just hopefully that they'll get a little strength and they hear somebody else has been. I know that people know that they're not the only one, but when you're in the situation, you feel like you're the only one. So if they hear this and see that, oh no, there's two women right there that have been in the same situation, and they both took that deep breath. They put their big girl panties on and they got the hell out. And that's what you have to do. You have to, as I said, you can do it when you put yourself number one. You have to put yourself number one. Until you decide that you're the most important thing in this situation, you're never going to make the change. So you are number one. Stay strong, be strong, and show the world that it is you that can make a change and make a difference.
That's right.
Amen.
I have a plaque for you, Miss Martin. Juanita designed it.
Cool.
A guy named T-Bone has them made for us. This is for Worldwide Awareness magazine that we're putting out, and it's just awareness on all the biggest epidemics in the world. And we wanted to give this to you. Let me see if I can get you to see that without this light on.
Yep, that's awesome.
So I wanted to hand that to you one of these days. Next time I get to see you and shake your hand. And thank you so much for being on the show, spending your time with us, telling your story. So hopefully people will say, you know what, these people are doing it. They're stepping out. They're talking to people. They're talking about issues. And that's what's going to change lives. So thank you very much for changing my life. I let a lot of things out I haven't told. She doesn't even know some of the stuff I just told you and talked to you about, all the drugs that I was on. I told her pieces, but I never got to the point to tell her everything. It's not an embarrassing part of my life. It's something that's behind me, and I never want to look back,
Right.
And but I'm so happy about your sobriety, so happy that you're out talking about it like I am, and I want you to know that we care about you deeply, and I can't wait to shake your hand, and you have a blessed day.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody out there, ChristysChamps.org, if you want to reach out to Christy's Champs, if you would like for to have me to come to speak at one of the events or anything like that, ChristysChamps.org can get you in touch.
Motivational speaker, boxing analysis, so many things that she can help you with. Please reach out to her if you need anything. One of the best speakers that you're going to find in what she does. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Bye, Christy.
You guys have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.